Welcome to Shooting the Shift with Marilyn and Elizabeth. These light warriors, both native New Yorkers, walk their walk, talk their talk, and keep the real in the deal. This dynamic duo joined forces to assist you through your transformational journey one step at a time, empowering you with spiritual tools you can use in your daily life. Each show begins as a conversation creating an opening for spiritual connection. There are never any scripts, and Spirit is always illuminating the way. And that's when the shift hits the fan. The magical messages of the ancestors, spirit guides, and Gaia are respected, honored, and always given sacred space to communicate. Join Marilyn and Elizabeth as they shake shift up and do what they do best, speak from their hearts.
Well, good morning, everybody on OMTimes. We are so excited to be here today on our debut show of Shooting the Shift, and we are definitely going to shake shift up on OMTimes Radio. I'm Elizabeth Lindsay, and I am one half of Shooting the Shift. Also, Miss Marilyn. Miss Marilyn, give a shout out.
Hi, guys.
All right. Well, here we are, Marilyn. We finally made it happen on this beautiful new moon in Libra. It's a wonderful time to make a fresh new start. And you and I have been working our little hearts out trying to get up and going on OMTimes. So I know you're a little nervous, and that's perfectly natural. I had a radio show for a few years, and I have to say, it was never on my radar to do another radio show until you planted that seed. So, Marilyn, are you excited to be here?
I'm excited, definitely.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
So I thought it would be really a great way before we, it's always so awkward to talk about ourselves and introduce yourself and talk about yourself, because you don't want to be sound like you're full of yourself, but you also want to tell people part of your journey. And it's just awkward, if you haven't done it, and trust me, it's awkward. But I thought it would be really fun for us to start out talking about how you and I ended up meeting each other and how Shooting the Shift came to be.
Yeah, that sounds really great.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So you and I were both doing a seminar on Zoom during the pandemic, working with Tony Stockwell, who's an international medium and teacher, who I love and have worked with for the last couple of years. And that's been really helping me open up my mediumship. And in these seminars, you get paired off and you do little exercises with other working mediums. And Marilyn and I got paired off together in a Zoom room. And it was wonderful because you really helped me shift stuff that day. And I have to say, honestly, when we got in that room, and I don't even remember what the topic was. I don't even remember what we were doing. I just know that you drilled right into my heart and you could see exactly where you needed to go, where my trigger was. And I'll never forget it because I looked at you and I said, I don't know who you are, but you're annoying the shit out of me. And you are just so amazing because you are so spot on. And you laughed.
Yeah, because it's a soul to soul, right? It's a soul to soul connection.
Yeah, and we just hit it off right from that point. We were little split aparts, and we ended up meeting all the time and having Zoom rooms and working together energetically. And I just fell in love with you immediately, and I just felt like I found my long lost sister. So that's my version. I don't know what your version is, but I just knew I was stuck to you like glue.
Yeah, it felt really beautiful and sacred, right? To come together and to work together and to, do some experimental work, right? Together. Mm-hmm. So, meeting and then working together and doing the soul work together. That was amazing. And it continues to be amazing, right? Because we're still in that discovery period, right? Where we're learning more and more. Yeah,
and we're both so very different, the way we do our work. which is a nice match. And I'm not even going to try and attempt to say the word that you call yourself because you say it's so sexy and I say it's so white gringo. So say the word. Say the
It's
word, Marilyn.
it's curandera, a sacred
Oh,
medicine
see,
woman. Yeah,
I
it's a
love that.
curandera. Yeah.
So sexy, and every time I try and say it, it's not a good thing. But yeah, because I just love so much your the way you work with energy, and of course, people are going to get to know us as we move forward. But I'm just gonna say a little bit about my journey, and then you're gonna share a little bit about your journey. And I want to say this is not really about me and Marilyn. This is about everyone, and we really don't want to have scripts or be edited or be too finished. We want to be authentic and organic and just have conversations like we do. The only thing weird, Marilyn, is I can't see your eyeballs, and we love to feed off each other and we can read each other's faces. So we may change that in the future because OMTimes has OMTimes TV. So who knows? But okay, so I'm going to do my little awkward self talk and then you're going to go after me. Does that sound cool?
Sounds wonderful.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. So, just a little bit about myself. How do you cram, 20 sentences into one lifetime? But basically, I was a jewelry designer. I sold my work nationally to Neiman Marcus, and I had my work on The Desperate Housewives and Grey's Anatomy, and I thought I was hot stuff, right? Because it was all ego-based. And then my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, and that just really hit home. And I had lost my mom and two of my aunts to breast cancer. And I started doing some work for the Breast Cancer Fund with my jewelry, which was really heart based. And I started a movement called Angel with an Edge, where I say we're all earth angels. Some of us are 20% rotten, 80% good. You can choose your own ratio. And I submitted a book proposal to Hay House Radio to talk about their journey and these brave women that I knew. And my work took on a much more personal feel to it. My jewelry, it became much more heart-centered. And lo and behold, literally when I submitted that book proposal, I had an emergency surgery. I had a 54.6-pound tumor that was my ovary. I've been very public about it, so I don't have any issues talking about it. I know that sounds really big. It was really big, and it was frightening. And I had a 3-year journey where I was fighting for my life, and I reacquainted myself with the 5-year-old that kept my gifts safe for me and shut down when I had trauma at 5. And so all of these guides and angels came in, and I had no idea what was going on as I was recovering. But Spirit always leads the way, and it was a gentle path. And it ended up that I had a radio show because I had the Hay House publication that didn't come to fruition. But the guy who had written a book for Hay House and had his own station offered me a radio show, and that was a real honor. And then I started doing Lenormand Oracle, and that kind of opened up everything for me. And then all of a sudden I had, someone's grandma behind me talking to me, and I was like, I don't know what that means. And I started working with Tony Stockwell again and International Medium and some very talented people, and I took some deep dives and eventually built my own clientele. And I had one platform public mediumship at the Althea Center, and then the pandemic hit. Bam. So I like to say I'm a spiritual pizza pie and a work in progress because I don't think we're ever done. And, Spirit never ceases to amaze me. So that's about as much as I can cram in. And the people who may be listening that followed me, I'm sorry if I bored you with that. But that's part of the journey, And I'm grateful. I always say my biggest burden was my biggest gift. And I'm really grateful. So everything's kind of unraveled to this moment, and here I am with you, Miss Marilyn.
Yeah, and I'm so thankful that we're together. Yeah.
Yes.
And so
Me too.
I'm going to share a little bit of, my journey. And so I am a practicing curandera, and I've been practicing for several years now. I I consider today to be a very auspicious day because it's the day where I'm actually doing this radio show, but most of all because it's my daughter's birthday. And in 2001, my daughter passed on. And I know that, that she has led me to this very moment in time where I am. She's been guiding me to step out onto this particular platform, I believe, to share my medicine. She and I have an eternal bond. So when Elizabeth and I were deciding our first broadcast, we were thinking possibly November dates or January. And then we were given October 6th. And I knew in that very moment that my daughter was at work here. And I knew that I could just release all the uncertainty and all the fear that probably came around the speaking to others on a broadcast system, right, where I would be heard all over. And so I feel like this is a really blessed event in this moment. And so I'm celebrating my baby girl's birthday today with all of you, really. And it feels really honoring to be able to sit together at the table with Elizabeth and with everyone who's listening right now, because we all have a seat at the table. And that is always my belief, right, that we can sit and claim our seat at the table. And I know that while I have been on this journey of life, I have learned so much along the way. And my desire is to share it, to share the wisdom, to share the medicine, to share all the teachings, right, that come through, to be shared with the collective. And this has been my work, my life work. And even though I know that I may sound a little nervous, because I am a little nervous, because I know that I don't really know who's listening to me, but I have so much faith in knowing that I'm doing exactly what I've been called to do. So I want to, share that. And I also want to thank OMTimes Radio for giving us this new platform, this new home to come together, to share, the journey. Because I know that we are all one, and our experiences really will match up at times. So, yeah, my daughter was and will always be my greatest teacher. And, it's bittersweet, but I am celebrating her life today with everyone.
And she's celebrating it with you, darling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my mom came through on the meditation today before launching our show, and she's one of my greatest teachers too. And I just and I know we have, a row of ancestors behind us like a forest, just rooting us on and pushing us on. And I am so proud to be able to do this with you because I know what an amazing energy worker you are. And I know I've worked with you. You've helped me through blockages and breakthroughs, which is really funny because we went through hell trying to find our song, our intro song. It was, there's a lot of work that goes into creating a radio show. And OMTimes has been really helpful with that process. But we had to ultimately come up with a song. And we finally, every song that we went through, it just wasn't happening. And then finally, the song we picked was Breakthrough. It was entitled Breakthrough, which is so funny because that's literally what, we're about, breaking through blockages and getting to the next level on our spiritual path. And today, it's not only the new moon in Libra, which is all about balance and new relationships and new ways of showing up in the world and the way you interact with your gardener to your husband. I mean, every single relationship you can think of. Pluto is also going direct, and Pluto is our planet of transformation. And what better way to start today on a new moon with two amazing women that we love that have our backs on the other side and more, and
Yes.
having a breakthrough with this new moon in transformation. So it is kismet, and of course Christina's birthday. I mean, that's just the ping. I always hear the ping. I don't know about you. I hear
Yeah.
the ping.
Yeah,
The
that's how I
frequency.
felt. Yeah, that's how I
Yeah,
felt. I felt
magic.
as soon as I heard the date, I knew that she had something to do with it. And I said, okay, I'm all in. Until that moment, I think I was still tithering, right? I was like, oh, I'm not, oh, I don't know. But when I heard October 6th, I said, I know for sure that this is what is the next step, the next journey. And yeah, so we'll be sharing a lot of information, right? It's so important also to recognize the energies that are, flowing within us and outside of us, because there's so much going on right now that I think that we can all feel a sense of the collective energy, and how we can acknowledge that would be when we feel disshuffled, or we feel shaken, or we feel uncomfortable, and there, let's say, no real reason for it, right? Like if there's a real reason for it, that's a different thing altogether. But when there aren't any reasons for it, and we're feeling those, that way, that energy surging through us, it's important for us to recognize, to sit and to just take notes, right, on how it is that we're feeling, and to recognize that it may be that energetic frequency may be coming from the collective, and it may not be ours. And that's important
Exactly.
sometimes to be able to do, right? Because it
Yep.
feels that way. Right? It feels that way, the energy that's surging, let's say within the month, right? It's been a little
Yes.
bit, woo, yeah.
And you know what? We're going to get into that, these energies and what's happening in October, and some of our show topics coming up in the next segment. So we want you guys to stay tuned. We're really excited to be here.
Yes.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Marilyn, we're back on the air, and I just wanted to ask you if you would share a little bit more about what a Indira is. You see, I try so hard not to ruin that word for you, darling. So you say it again, because I didn't know what it was. I know what it is now, of course, but I didn't know when you told me.
Yeah, okay, sure. Curandera is a medicine woman, right? A sacred medicine woman who works with energy, who works with herbs, who works with waters, with the earth, who is able to shapeshift as well. So this is what a
What does
curandera is. But
shapeshift
there's
mean, darling?
shapeshifting means that you're able to shift into different energies and different frequencies. And so, even explaining frequency work is a little bit odd because it's one of those experiences that I really feel sometimes is easier to experience than it is to explain. So when I do my frequency work, right, that's me making the connection with the soul of the other. And of course, I always have permission because I always ask for permission. And once I have access, soul to soul connection, I get so much information that the person who has given me permission to access the soul's information gets a lot of information, right? Where a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, how'd you know that?" Or, "Wow, I've been feeling, something, like this. I just didn't understand what it was." So there's so much information that we have access to. And usually what I do is I try to teach others how to access their own information, right? Because we all have access to our inner knowing, which is the guidance that lives within us. It's just that sometimes we could be fearful of it, or sometimes we are disconnected from the knowing, right? But it's that how would I say that? Sometimes that little ting that you get when you're, let's say, I'll give you for instance, sometimes when, let's say you're going somewhere and all of a sudden you feel like, oh, I don't think I should be here, right? And there's something that you're feeling, there's something that you're experiencing, and you really don't know what it is. And I always say to people, honor that, respect that, and then just say, it's time to, to move to a different direction, right? Because it's your inner knowing giving you the information that maybe this is not, the place that, is holding your frequency and your energy, right? Or where you're going to thrive, right? So all of these are important tools, to have access to, and we all have them. We all have the ability to access our inner knowing. It's learning how to do that. It's learning how to be conscious and aware of how we're feeling, why we're feeling what we're feeling, to make that full connection, to take the dive in. So as a curandera, I help you to dive deeply into some of the, what I would say is unknown, right, that lives within you. And it's not that you don't know that it's there. It's that your brain, right, doesn't make that connection that it is there, right? Because we're always so in the outside world. We're so trying to meet up and do whatever it is that's expected of us, in the world.
We've been raised to shut it down, to not tune into it, to not be a part of that magic. That's right. What you're reconnecting, right? And remembering.
Right. And it's so important to know that we all have it. We all have these gifts. These are not just gifts that I have or you have, or we all have them. It's whether we're going to access them. And part of my reason for wanting to, do a radio show is because I want to share it. I want to share, how to do these things, how to tune in, how to, go into your own process, right? Because we have to trust our process. And and that it's a piece that's going to take time, right? Because sometimes for some people, trust is a big word. It's huge. It holds a lot of energy. And the first thing is trusting ourselves, in the world.
Absolutely. I mean, I always say it's always an inside job. I mean, I know people have seen the Facebook meme, happiness is an inside job. But ultimately everything is an inside job. And you're in the center of the storm. That's your center. And when you're connected to your true self, I mean, for me, I go back and I put my feet on the earth every day for 15 minutes a day. I have to. As a Gemini rising, I just cycle off and get a, shiny thing and I get distracted. So I always have to pull myself in. And the first thing I try on a daily basis is to get my feet on the earth and barefoot when I can, weather permitting. But what you're talking about is coming back to your essential true soul self. And it's so important for all of us in these times. And that's what you were talking about when we went to the break was, what's going on and everything that's going on outside of us. And there's big transformation going on for a long time, especially in the USA, because we've got that big Pluto square, which is, mirroring the first American Revolution. And how are we going to show up as America? Are we really going to be one for all and all for one and everyone's equal, which is what America was supposed to be? And isn't, right? So there's a lot of transformation going on outside of us and then internally. And for me, yeah, go ahead.
And we're on our way. We're on our way there. We are, we are a work in process, right? In the process. And so what happens is that recognizing that we are all a part of this journey. And the more that we open, and the more that we're able to see, to feel, to acknowledge, then we get to that place of remembering. And that's when the magic begins, right? That's when we get so tuned in, right? That we can see and feel all that truly is before us.
Yeah. You've got to know your own energy before you can work with it, right? You got to know what's yours and what is everyone else's. And once you get there, it's like layers, right? It's layers.
Yeah.
So, there is some good news for this month, I have to say, because we do have 4 planets going direct. And when planets are retrograde, it makes things a lot harder. So today we have the new moon in Libra. We have Pluto going direct. Then Saturn, our planet of lessons, is going direct. And Jupiter, our planet of magnificence, is going direct. Plus Mercury will go direct on the 18th. So if you think this year's gone fast, hold on to your, roller coaster bar, because it's going to pick up really quick and it's building momentum. And I think we have some really great topics for this month to work on, to share with everybody in our energy work. And also, we are going to be taking callers in the future. We really want to be interactive, right? We want people to call in. There's nothing like witnessing Marilyn and her magic. That's all I can say. Like you said, it is hard to describe. Yeah.
It is very hard to describe. It's only when you're in it and you feel it, and then you can say, oh my goodness, this is really, and the thing is that I always want people to remember is that it is you, that is actually you, that maybe for the first time you have felt yourself in that energy, Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say that is really resonates with me is, when we come from a place of realizing how many things never belong to us, and we start slowly removing these things, it can be very frightening. And but when you get into the nuts and bolts of it, you can feel the shift happening. And that's why we call this show Shooting the Shift, because it's like baby steps. It's like the layer of an onion. We don't want a format. We want to be able to be current in what's going on in the energies of the day. And so we do have a pre-planned, I will say in air quotes, topic But we also are on the fly, and we do want to let people know that once we get our bearings, we want people to interact with us, and we may have guests. But for me, when I would like to say one point that you mentioned, Marilyn, like I don't even like the word gifts anymore, because I used to think, oh, gifts, unless you're an idiot savant or Beethoven, right? I just think like spiritual strengths for me works better because I know I'm a medium and I know I can open that up. And I know that
Mm-hmm.
takes work and intention and love and all of those things to make that happen. But anybody can talk to their loved ones if they want to, they have the right intention and they're open to it. So I do like to say spiritual strengths for me because again,
Yeah.
it's so important. Nobody is better than anybody. Some people may be more advanced with their spiritual strengths because of their practicing or their knowing, whatever. But everybody has the ability to tune into themselves and their own soul. And we have had
Yeah.
spent
And surely,
lifetimes of it being shut down, right? So we're
yeah.
waking up to that.
And the gift, I call it a gift simply because many of the gifts are unwrapped, right? Like we have such beautiful gifts and they're all wrapped up so beautifully and we have not opened them yet. So when I say gifts, it's like we have them, but we haven't unwrapped them. We haven't, it's about witnessing them and saying, oh, wow, there it is, and then just getting so excited over it, unwrapping it, and then just feeling the excitement of it, right? Because that's who we are, right? That's who we all are, right?
Well, one of my favorite words that you got me saying was unraveling.
Oh,
And
yes.
some
So we
people
are.
could take unraveling the wrong way, like things are falling apart, things are unraveling. But no, it's literally like when you are letting the layers of the onion go, there's no destination. We
Yeah.
are constantly growing, evolving, and if somebody told me I'd have another radio show a couple years later and I know Marilyn, I didn't foresee that for myself at all. And so some of it's just trusting and following the spiritual breadcrumbs and knowing that you're listening and showing up. That's the biggest
Yes.
part.
Yes.
And
Yes.
being
Right.
willing to do the work, right?
Right, because when we're falling apart, we're actually coming together, right?
Exactly.
We fall apart, we're falling apart, and sometimes it looks like, oh my goodness, look at all those pieces. Okay, but those pieces are now being transformed, and and they're recreating, right, to their original form.
Yeah.
To the form that we came in on, right? Not the form that we
Yeah.
have become, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I posted that like last month. I said, when things fell apart, I fell together and became the person I always needed, right?
Yes,
That's what
yes.
that showed me, how strong I am, how much tenacity I have. And, the universal consciousness, whatever you want to call it, the stream of neutrality where we're co-creating, when you tap into that, it's magical.
It is.
And I want to mention one thing too. My friend Melissa Caprio, who has a show here I believe it's 2 o'clock Eastern time today. I followed her to OMTimes Radio. So I want to thank her for telling me about OMTimes and having such a good experience with them, because that's how we ended up coming here. So she gave us a nice shout out on her show, but it was for next week. So I want to make sure I acknowledge that, Marilyn.
Beautiful. Yes, thank you so
Yeah.
much. Yes,
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
feel like we're just being on our best behavior because when we're in a Zoom room, we're just like constantly talking and we're like, yada, 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 but wait, because we're always have light bulb moments with each other. And we're
Yeah,
trying
because
and we're trying to be good on the radio. So we will be more, what would I say, relaxed. It's a little nervous, our
I'm
first
going to
show.
say it's going to be a little bit more animated, right? Because that's what
Animated.
happens. Yes, a lot of times it's very animated, right? Because it's the energy that comes in. It's what we're feeling
Passion.
for the day. It's it's just everything, right? Like I know that, I was really a little nervous, about, and maybe not a little, a lot nervous about doing this, because I was like, oh my goodness, how, am I going to be clear, and are people going to understand me, and all this kind of stuff. And then I said,
do people want to hear me? That's mine, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The one good thing about me is I can just talk, and then I am holding the radio waves hostage aside from you. So people don't have a choice. I guess they could tune me out. But,
Yeah, and
when I get going, it's hard to stop me, Marilyn. You know that.
yeah, yeah. And so what I also wanted to talk about was how the body speaks, right? And how
Okay.
we only need to learn how to listen, right? Because sometimes the body will send us like signals, right? Like it feels like a glitching, or sometimes you might get information and it feels like like the messages are all entangled, right? And the body sometimes then doesn't understand, right, the signals, and so it sends out symptoms, and that's when we get like overwhelmed or anxious or confused, or there's irrational thoughts or anger, fear or pain, and that's just a few ways that the body attempts to get our attention. And so sometimes it's important for us to be able to take deep breaths and recenter and rebalance, because we can get more clarity from the centered place than we can from the anxious, overwhelmed place. And usually those types of reactions or symptoms are really messages that are trying to get our attention. But because we are somewhat out of balance, right, with the energy, the way it's coming in, we get a little shaken. And so, right, because in this current time, there's just so much stuff happening, right? People are having all kinds of how would I say, energetic flaring, right? And when I say that, I mean there's so much, there's like a fire going over here and another fire over there and another fire. And when I say fire, I mean things happening that are flaring up in all directions, and we're trying to almost like juggle everything, right? And so it's important for us to be able to say, let me step back. Let me just take a deep breath. Let me regain my composure. Let me rebalance. Let me allow the energies to move through me so that I can see it from a different perspective, right? Because perspective is everything. Everything.
And balance, because today is the new moon in Libra, and it's all about balance. And we have to go to our next little mini break, but we'll be right back. And we're going to discuss that, Marilyn, in more detail. All right,
yes,
babe?
thank you.
Okay.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. ascendinghearts.com.
Imagine yourself being transported to India, to the banks of the Ganga and an ashram in Rishikesh. Visualize that you are welcome to satsang with an American sannyasi who shares the wisdom of her guru. Your visualization has manifested. Join Sattvi Bhagawati Saraswati for inspiration and transformation every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Coping 19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
With everything going on, there may be times you feel like you can't handle it all. Journaling, meditating, and talking with friends and family can help you feel more grounded and better able to cope. Your kids are also going through a lot of new experiences, and simply talking with them about their feelings can be quite powerful.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
welcome back. We are so excited to be here debuting our first show. This is Elizabeth and my friend Marilyn, my co-host Marilyn, my amazing friend. And I wanted to just, my producer corrected me, and I'm glad he did. My friend Melissa Caprio's show on OMTimes, Postcards of the Universe, is at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm in Mountain Time. I'm in Colorado, so I'm always 2 hours earlier. And I'm a Gemini rising, so I'm always confused. So I use that as an excuse. Anything I can use, I will, Marilyn, for my wonky little brain. I just have so many ideas going on in my head all the time. So you were talking about energy and how our body gives us signals and how it feels and you mentioned balance, and I was just reiterating how important balance is the theme for October in so many ways, especially with relationships and also our relationship with ourselves. How are we showing up? We're all going to have triggers. Marilyn and I can attest to that. And we've had a few this week, and you just got to reel yourself back in and get centered and come back to your true, what do I want to feel right now? Because it's so easy to get in that little whirly bird, right? And it's a constant exercise for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially recognizing them, right? Like recognizing when you're being triggered and what it is that you're thinking about that's triggering you, and diving in there and seeing, what is that about? How can I change this, right? How can I shift this energy so that I can feel better, right? Because it's all about feeling better. And that's really what we want to do. We want to feel good.
Yes, God knows. Don't you want to feel good? Boy, the older I get, the better I want to feel.
All the time. I want to feel good.
Yeah, and you know what? That's going to be our topic next week for our show on the 13th. It's going to be all about triggers. Who's triggering you, why they're triggering you, and why does it always belong to you no matter what? And that's the thing that people really don't like to hear sometimes, right? It's like it all starts with you, it all belongs to you, and you're responsible for how you react. It's the one superpower we have as humans, right? What we choose, how we choose to react, right?
Yes.
So that's what I'm mastering right now, Marilyn. I don't know about you, but that's a big one for me.
Right. It's about balance.
Laugh there.
Yeah. It's about balance, right? It's about being able to balance our lives. And that is tricky sometimes. It's very tricky because there's always something, right? There can, sometimes we go, everything's going really well. And then all of a sudden, boom, something happens, right? But it's being able to say, okay, I got it. I got the message. What is this message? What is this about? How am I going to, handle this, right? But from a balanced state of being. And, how we do that is to, move away from the energy that we're feeling that may be, overwhelming or anxious or anger or rage or whatever it is that we're feeling in that moment. And to be able to say, I recognize this energy. I recognize this feeling. Right. And then work with that. But I don't want to dive too much into that because we're going to do that. No. So I'm going to change
but
this.
It is. But, okay. Yeah. And you know what? It's true, though, because it's important for people to know, because I think it's a really, it's a triggering topic, and it's next week. So tune in because if you get triggered, which God knows I know I do, this is the show for you, is my point.
Yes. And because we got to learn how to handle them, right? We have to learn how to handle them so we can be more productive and happier in our lives.
Empowered.
Yes.
Empowered. I don't know about you, but when I am not feeling empowered or I'm being crazy, look, I am all for, if you feel the way you feel, swim in it, get pruny, it's okay. But then you got to drag yourself out of the bathtub and, dry off and figure out what to do. This is not about denying how you feel.
Exactly.
It's about shifting and finding your freedom. So, okay.
Exactly.
And then we're going to talk the next show about borders, boundaries, and self-respect. Yeah. Need we say more?
Yeah, that's been a big one in my life.
Yeah, boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries.
Yes.
And I will tell you, you will be triggered by other
Yes.
people wanting to cross your boundaries in October in particular, because it's all about relationships and finding a new way of how we are interacting, showing up in a new way. Those that are waking up, not everybody is, of course. So and then on 10/27, our last show of the month, we're going to do trauma in the drama,
Yeah,
not
that's going to
getting
be a
biting the hook. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
So I think we're really excited about all our topics and what's going on. But as again, I will reiterate, no scripts. We just kind of go on the fly, and maybe we'll be taking some calls. Who knows? Um,
Yeah. And the topics are going to be topics that we're going to be talking about, but we're also going to go into a lot of information because it's, if well, there will be, I say if, but I know there'll be, channeling information in, right, that needs to be spoken for our listeners, for the collective.
Yeah.
So,
I know you
yeah.
were saying the other day in the Zoom room, you're like, sometimes I wish I was recording this stuff because I miss out on it. Because when you're downloading and you're doing that, you hear, you hear it coming out of you, but you don't get to absorb it. Of course, your spirit does, but your conscious isn't, right? You're like, whoa, that's good stuff. But then you go back to
Yeah.
the channeling and you miss a lot of it. Yeah, same thing with me. I know. So,
Yeah. And
Marilyn,
missing
guess
it.
what?
Yeah.
Gosh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right. Well, I was just going to say we need to share a little bit about how people can find us, if they want to find us, if they want to reach out, because that's the only way they can find us. We do have our information, I believe, each on our radio pages on OMTimes. You can find our personal bios there if you'd like to know more or how to find us. But what's the best way for people to find you, Marilyn, if they feel called to reach out to you?
Well, I have a website, universalsacredmedicine.com, that they can
Say it
reach
again.
me. Universalsacredmedicine.com.
Beautiful. I just like to say it twice because sometimes, people are running to get a pen or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have I would say a very wonky website at this moment in time. It's a work in progress, just like me. And it's called Angel with an Edge. I'm going to say it again, angelwithanedge, .com or elizabethlindsay.com with an A. I spell my last name with an A. And the best way to find me is there or on Instagram at Angel with an Edge, or Facebook. You can find me, Elizabeth Lindsay. I'm the one with the blue streak in my hair. And I do social media often. I post some of my spirit art on there. I'm a budding spirit artist, which I'll get into another time what that means for people that don't know. But it has been quite a journey, and I do want to say before we run out of time, Marilyn, I know I said this already, but I want to reiterate it. Radio was not on my radar, and you and I were first talking about, well, let's just do Facebook Lives and let's just share our fun and let's just put ourselves out there and be a little braver and step it up, and that's what we're kind of doing. But it evolved into a radio show, so I'm not really sure you knew what you were getting yourself into as we evolved here. But I just want to say I'm really proud of you. I'm proud to call you my friend. I am grateful for the work we've done together, and I can't imagine doing this journey with anybody else. So
Oh,
that's
thank you
my
so
little
much.
mushy moment.
Yeah. And I'm so thankful and grateful that we're sitting together and working together and doing this beautiful sacred work together.
Yes,
So and I
yes.
thank you for helping me to open that door of going into the radio. Because that was
Well,
really like, oh boy, okay. Yeah.
yeah, like after 4 years of doing radio in a very different way, I just like I said, it wasn't on my radar until we just started, igniting that match. And I do think that it's really so important to both of us. And I don't want to speak for you, but I'm going to right now. It's just important that we are very authentic and very real and approachable and accountable. And
Yes.
yeah, we want to be accountable too. We are all working on our spirits and our souls and our life journeys. And this is a tumultuous time for all of us, including me and Marilyn, right?
Yeah. And
So,
to be authentic is important, right? I mean, it means everything to me. I really believe that if I can't be authentic, then I wouldn't be able to do this at
exactly.
all, because that's who I am.
It'd be like putting
And
my
I know
foot in
that's
my
who you
mouth
are.
every time, trying to be somebody
Yes,
I'm not, right?
exactly.
And that means, putting your foot in your mouth, saying the wrong things sometimes, or not maybe expressing yourself as eloquently as you could if you rehearsed it. But that's not the point. The point is to speak, to get it out, to be brave, to work on ourselves, to show up and shine. And that's true for every single human, right?
Yes, we're going to shine, and we're going to shine brightly
Shine.
so that others can continue to shine as well, right? Because as we shine our light, they shine, everyone else can shine their light, and we can be one huge, magnificent light, So that feels
Yeah.
so good to me. Yeah.
Feels so good to me too. And I want to say we have absolutely no idea what we're doing, but we're not really rowing the ship. Spirit is. We're just kind of, going with the flow and listening to what we're connecting to.
Yeah,
And
trusting the
but
process, right? We have to trust the
yes,
process. Yes.
yeah, trust the process. Well, we only have like 4 minutes left, Marilyn. We survived our first show. What do you think? How do you feel?
Wow. This feels good, actually. Yeah. I'm so
I
thankful
know.
and grateful for the audience, right? And I'm so thankful and grateful for the opportunity to sit with you and to sit with everyone who's going to, who's listening in and who's going to be listening in. So I'm thankful for that. And, hopefully, when we started, we talked about how those who are on our frequency will be available, right?
Yeah,
Because
will
they will
find
be
us. We'll
feeling it.
find them.
Yes, exactly.
You know
So
how
yeah,
I
I'd like
see
to.
it? Yeah, go ahead. No, you go
No,
ahead, Marilyn.
I just like to always say blessings, love, and light to all. And I know that you have something else that you wanted to say, so go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say when you were talking about the light and everything, for me, especially when my mediumship started opening up with my ancestors, I would be like in the middle of a beautiful woods. It's always nighttime, and there's a center fire or hearth, and there's candles. And when I first met them, they came to me, and I had one soul white candle, and they all came and lit their candle from mine. And it was such a beautiful experience. And then at the end of that, as it transformed, it was like tentacles of light through trails of the woods. So it would go as far as my eye could see. And it was so beautiful. And when you speak like that and you talk about the energy and, the love and light, that a lot of people say love and light. But for me, it's I can see the illumination, and I can see how we're connected
Yes,
energetically, one spark
yes,
to the other to the other. And it's kind of like that old Breck hair commercial. They told two friends, and then they told two friends,
yes,
and then it
yes,
builds. And I
yes.
just wanted to say that with that it is about the love and it is about the light. And
Yeah, and
ultimately, everything we come back to is that love, right? That
and it's
loving
about
place.
building a community, right? It's about building a community, right?
Yeah.
Of just light beings, right? So that we can share, so that we can explore, so that we can, just dive in. I think this is going to be really exciting times moving forward, right?
I think
We've
this is a
just,
very exciting time for everybody who really is willing to be an optimist and embark on how can I show up every day in the best way for myself and then shine literally to the world. That
Yes.
frequency. Because as you know, I don't need to say it to you, Marilyn, everything is frequency. And we have to be
Yes.
on the same frequency to even understand that. So,
Yes.
all right, darling. I don't know what else to say at this point, except I'm really excited to come back and do this again. Do you have a little ending blessing for us you'd like to share? You're so good at that. Or a little prayer? We
Ah,
have 1 minute, darling.
yeah. So as we close this show today, sending out beautiful waves of love, of light, of blessings, of unity and compassion, of balance, and of understanding. May we grow together in the form of just beautiful light beams to just ignite the light of the world.
Lovely. New moon blessings, everyone. Ciao for now. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.